Oh, hi guys. Just breaking a little mental sweat for fantasy with my good friend Matthew Berry, helping me get to 1-0 this week. Now, some of you were not happy with my predictions. Obviously, a lot of them were not correct, but I'd like to defend myself, and this is what I'm giving you in this week 1 recap. So, we're going to break down and go over all the games, try to defend myself to an extent, even though I was not correct on the majority of the picks. I would like to clarify a few things that were said. So because of that, we're going to start with the guys who were the most haters on my week 1 post. We're going to start with the Anders and Josh matchup. Now, I did pick Josh to win this one, and in the fact that he did not, and just didn't happen, Anders pure dominated, putting up the second highest points, only behind Kevin, this week, and it was clearly the fact that Josh's team's running back did not want to show up. Jamal Charles and Zach Stacy were, and Le'Veon Bell and Rashard Jennings were magnificent. Now, granted, Fitzgerald didn't show up to play, and Anders' defense only put up 1 point. It was just a true magic statement from his top half and Julius Thomas with those 3 wonderful touchdowns, which helped me out in a couple other leagues as well. That is really what propelled Anders to just dominate Josh, even though he put up a solid 97 points, which was higher than some other people in the league. Now, just wasn't enough to get it done against the King Broman and defending champion. So let's go on to the next game, which was the old man matchup. Now, a lot of you said that this was a bad pick for me. Now, I'm just going to have to come up and say, in my defense, in the last video, I said that if Kevin did some tinkering, he could win. Now, he did do some tinkering after the video came out, and was sure behold, he did win. Now, I did say that dropping the defense of the 49ers for the Vikings was going to be a risky pick. However, I was more talking in the long-term run. Now, this short-term payoff where the Vikings put up 19 points, 1 more point than the 49ers defense this last week, was outstanding. Granted, they were going against the St. Louis Rams third-string quarterback for the majority of the game. Cordero Patterson and basically every other wide receiver for Kevin's team showed up to play, where the fact that Mr. Broman, despite my Aaron Rodgers pick, went against it, and it did pay off for him pretty well, with Kaepernick putting up 17.1 points. Now, no one else showed up for Mr. Broman's team on the running game. He had a solid defensive performance, but quite honestly, this was just pure domination on an all-around scale from Kevin Nordstrom this week. Will he do it again? I don't know. It's the fact to say that this could be a very bipolar team for Kevin this entire year. But who knows? He could continue to tinker and continue to surprise us all. This is not a prediction video. This is mere recap video. So I'm not going to make any predictions on how he will fare this coming up week. Now moving on to what have been my favorite matchup now, was the Plies versus the Jellies. Now, I should have just said this game was the Plies versus Calvin Johnson. Oh my goodness, 31.9 points. Absolutely obliterated Sam. I mean, granted, Sam did not show up at all for the defense. 0 points on his defense players. Granted that the Jellies running backs put up a total of 10 points combined for their 2 running backs, and Sam did leave a few points on the bench, but this one was all given to the Jellies and all Calvin Johnson. That's basically what it came down to. Now, the Jellies could establish themselves with making a few other adjustments and change to make themselves a pretty solid team. Their wideout core was extraordinaire, and especially in their tight end, putting up with Greg Olsen at 18.3 points, which was also outstanding. If they can pick up that running back game, I could definitely even put them as a top 3 team in this league this year. I know that's a big statement already to make, but if Calvin Johnson can continue to just carry them this far with 31.9 points and continue to put up those kind of numbers for the most of the year, the Jellies will easily not miss the playoffs and make the playoffs this year. And that's just all it comes down to, was just Sam just getting very unlucky this week, and hopefully he can turn it around next week. Now, we'll move on to my 2 correct picks. We have Wham Bam Thank You Cam with no Cam in the game, sitting on his bench, beating Bjorn. Bjorn, the highest projected team at 152, puts up the lowest score this week at 82.2 points. How the mighty fall. Wow, that is just a big slash for our commissioner. But let's just see, this is going to be the MVP of the week for me. It's going to go to Blaine Midthune, in my opinion. And that's only for the fact that he picks up Carson Palmer because Cam is ruled out on Sunday officially. And Carson Palmer puts up 21.1 points. Now, that's a massive amount of points, seeing how Jordan Reed, his tight end, put up a measly 1 point. Now, Bjorn's team for wide receiver core put up barely any points, none in the double digits, including his tight end. His kicker put up more points than any one of his wide receivers, which I'm not surprised. It's Steven Hauschka. That's my boy. He stole him from me, and I'll trade him for you for my kicker at any time, Bjorn. Just let me know. But look at Blaine's bench, too. He sat Macklin, Tate, and Moreno, who had an outstanding game, and why shouldn't he? Is no Sean Moreno. He's a great player, and despite how much all of you guys can't like him, I'd love him and would also take him off your hands at any time, Blaine. So please shoot me a trade offer if you'd like to. But again, MVP award for this last week, in terms of a player, definitely going to Blaine for that drop pickup with Carson Palmer. Huge. If he wouldn't have done that, I don't know if he would have won. He might have still won, but that big play there just deserved of a good manager who is aware of his team and knowing to make the changes to win the game, and knowing that it's not all about the projections, it's all about how you feel in the heart of a player. Now moving on to my matchup against Adam. This one was a nail-biter. It came down to literally the wire. 4th down and like 6, and Phillip Rivers throws an interception. I lose by 0.1. Or if he throws a completion, then I'm still even safe and I'm in the game because he can throw an interception and I still win. But that game was down to the wire. Now, the big, huge downfall for Adam was Ebron putting up 0 points. Now, I also had Alfred Morris and Torrey Smith who didn't put up any. Now look at my bench. I had over 100 points scored on my bench. Granted, there was a QB sitting there, but still, you look at Adam's bench, it could have went easily the other way. Matty Ice putting up 31 points. Bolden with 14. Pitta with 13. Bell with 12. It's an unbelievable, this was a bench race at this point. Either one of us could have won this matchup just with a switch of one player from our bench onto our active roster. That's all it would have taken, and that's all it could take any week. So that one was a really good matchup. I was really excited to win that one. It could have went either way. So stay tuned for later this week. Hopefully I'm feeling better, and we'll have the week 2 predictions. So remember to set your lineups and get ready for this week, because game day starts tomorrow.